have Ned Staebler with me right now. Good afternoon, Ned.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm excited about having you. Why don't you tell our audience what you do?
Sure. Well, I am the Vice President for Economic Development at Wayne State University, and I'm also the President and CEO of TechTown Detroit.
Quickly explain what the Vice President of Economic Development does at Wayne State.
As soon as I figure it out, I will do it quickly for you. But I coordinate the university's efforts to utilize its assets to be a catalyst for growth in Midtown and across the city. Okay. And at TechTown, we're a business incubator and accelerator, helping to grow businesses across the city of Detroit.
Oh, wow, absolutely. Well, you know, with Detroit, and you've been in Detroit all your life, right? Most of it.
Well, I was born in Detroit. I was born in Hutzel Hospital and went to Burton Elementary and Cass and Peterborough, and then out to U of D U of D High for 7 through 12. But then I left town for about 15 years and then came back a little more than a decade ago.
Well, you've been here a while, and what would you do if you had to wave a magic wand and say, well, I'll fix one thing in Detroit?
That's such an unfair question.
I know it is, but I'm just curious, especially a person like yourself. You've been around.
Sure. I get it. One thing, and so it's a hard one because so many things are important, whether it's lighting or schools or jobs and opportunity. But if you said, Ned, only one thing, I would wave my magic wand and would make Detroit the safest city in America. Because I think that is the requirement for so many other things. I generally think that markets work. When you can have a house over on the northwest side of Detroit that's worth $20,000, and if you pick it up and move it 3 blocks north across 8 Mile, and suddenly it's worth $80,000 or $100,000, it doesn't make sense. The market's broken. Clearly, a young family should move into the $20,000 house and start their family. The reason why they don't is because of public safety. So that one thing would change, would have a ripple effect across the economy.
Absolutely, and I would hope we could figure out how that would happen, really, because, like you say, you move it right a few blocks, and right across 8 Mile.
Right across 8 Mile, and then you go another few blocks, and it would go up another $100,000.
Another $100,000.
But so public safety it's coming along. Things are much better in the city of Detroit than they were 5 years ago. I was meeting with Chief Craig recently, and I'm very optimistic. I will tell you, in Midtown Detroit, specifically the Wayne State Police and Chief Tony Holt and his crew do a great job.
They're very aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
They're very aggressive, and I appreciate them because I didn't know until recently that they could do things outside of the university.
Yeah, about 5 years ago we switched. We used to spend 75% of our time on campus, like university police do.
Right.
Now we spend 75% of our time off campus. And since we made that switch, crime is down 60% in the Midtown 4 mile, square mile neighborhood. Detroit. We were just named one of the 50 safest college campuses in America. You're safer in Midtown Detroit, not just on our campus, in Midtown Detroit, than in East Lansing, Ann Arbor, Birmingham, or Troy. No one believes me when I tell them, but I've got the numbers.
Wow, that's great. Now, can you tell us just a little about TechTown? You said that you have entrepreneurs hanging around now.
Absolutely.
And all of this. Are people trying to get in and get a space?
People are trying to get in. We're full. Don't not come. It's just because you didn't come on down. We can always find room for a few more. But I literally rented out our storage room to a great group. We're doing an urban prototyping lab right now. But I wanted to say one thing while I have the forum is that TechTown, people hear that and they think it's just technology. But half of the businesses we work with this year... No, well, we certainly have some arts businesses. Half of our businesses will be technology-based, out of Henry Ford or Wayne State, Detroit Medical Center, some of those great research institutions. But a good half of the businesses we work with this year won't be technology-based at all. We run a retail boot camp, so if you're thinking of starting up a restaurant or a coffee shop or a record store, come in and talk to us because we can help you do that. And then we run a program called SWAT City, where we work in 7 neighborhoods around the city. So we go out. So it's not just coming to TechTown. We're going to come to you. We come to 7 neighborhoods. We work with local community development corporations to identify entrepreneurs in those neighborhoods. And we help create jobs and opportunities in those neighborhoods and amenities for residents. Because that's so crucial to fixing that market problem I talked about before. I don't want to live in a neighborhood if there's no place to get my dry cleaning done or get a coffee or, buy dinner for the family.
And years ago, it was much more conducive to walking. Detroit my dentist was right around the corner. I could walk to my dentist.
Sure.
And there were stores and all that, and then things happen as we know, but I see it on the upswing. But I think it needs to be communicated out a little more. There's these whole pockets in Detroit who do not see this, do not know this.
Absolutely. I always say that you can't have a 7 mile oasis, 7 square mile oasis in a 140 mile square city and think you're going to have sustained prosperity.
Right.
It just doesn't work that way, which is why we're trying to get out and meet entrepreneurs where they are, which is why I'm excited to work with our partners like President Garibaldi at the University of Detroit Mercy, who just started the Live 6 initiative.
Right.
Lauren Hood, who's going to be leading that, is a superstar, and we've partnered with her before.
Talked to her.
We're big fans. So we want to continue to build those partnerships across the city and across the region to make sure it's not just a 7 mile area, but the whole city can experience the same kind of boom we're getting in the downtown, midtown area.
Well, I'm going to ask you another question. If you could think of one business that either you could create or already exists that will help some aspect of urban life, what would it be?
Oh, that's even harder than the magic wand question, because I have a lot of entrepreneurs that are working on urban challenges right now,
Yes.
and I don't want to pick one because then I'll have a bunch of other ones
mean-
mad at me. But
What if you did? What would be your best idea?
one technology, one idea to help in urban areas. I think lighting. Lighting continues to remain a challenge for me. So there are a number of people working on off-grid solutions, so you don't have to worry about the aging infrastructure that we have here. They're using materials that are not scrappable, so composite materials, so they won't get stolen. LED lighting, so it's safer. I think that it's more sustainable, and you don't have to change the light bulbs as much. I think that would be a technology that I would spend some time working on.
Ned, what do you see coming down the pike in the next 5 years?
Growth, and I really want to see it. So I mentioned earlier, you can't have just a 7 mile core,
Right.
and think you're going to have prosperity. But I also don't know a strategy that doesn't start with at least some, the
You have to
riverfront.
start somewhere.
You've got to start somewhere, and so you start where you have the most assets. Then the trick to it is that you don't stop. You got to keep growing. So we talk about the river and then up Woodward's spine like a T-bone steak, upside down T-bone steak. So the challenge for me, what I think is going to happen in the next 5 and 10 years, is filling out the meat on the bones. And I think that's crucial to build those connections.
Years ago, people it was like my side of town or this side of, people took so much pride in their area.
I'm a West Sider. I get it.
West
I know what
Side,
you're saying.
West Side. No, I don't want to
Exactly.
say it like that.
Exactly.
But,
No, I hear you.
Yeah, we were West Siders, and so we said we barely knew anything about the
Yeah.
East Side. And it was just so much pride here, and I would love to see that come back. And I remember being in the first row of the first Motown review. We ran to the front because we wanted to be in the front row, and it was just amazing. Just things like that, and that was homegrown talent. And there's so many intelligent people in Detroit, in the Detroit area.
Yeah, you want to talk about entrepreneurs? Motown is. I mean, they are. That's an entrepreneurship story right there.
That is.
Starting out of recording out of a garage
Yes.
with a few $100.
Right.
We're actually. I'll give you a tip. That we're going to be partnering with Motown on something coming up here in a few months. That's all I can tease you about now, because we're just starting the process. But clearly, some of the original OG entrepreneurs right there.
You cannot do
Yes, I can.
this to me.
You'll have to come over to TechTown and
Well,
see it.
I'm going to have to get your card, and I'll give you mine, because I'd love you want to come on my television show,
Great.
and we'll make the announcement. I mean, you can make the announcement wherever you want, but we'll remake the announcement because. In fact, I'm gonna email you a poem I wrote about it. But anyway, thank you so much. Growth is exactly what we'd like to see.
Yep, absolutely. It's
And
a fun
people
time.
coming back, because even when you were a little boy, and way back when
10
I
or
was a
15
little
years
girl,
ago, yeah.
there were over 1 million people here, way over.
So what's interesting to me, people always talk about 1950 to 2000. We lost 1 million people in 50 years. You know, no one ever talks about? From 1920 to 1940, in just 20 years, we gained a million people.
Gained 1 million people.
And that's the challenge, because we're going to go through another period like that again. And we're still using a lot of the zoning and city planning that we had 100 years ago, because it happened so fast. We never planned accordingly, and that led to a lot of the problems going forward. So my challenge is, can the folks with the city and Detroit Future City and that whole crew, can they plan this growth better? I think it'll be slower, so they'll be more manageable, but that's going to be crucial to make it sustainable.
Well, I'd like to thank you. You have me intrigued. You really do. You're teasing me.
Well, great to see you, Brenda, and look forward to seeing you at TechTown.
Oh, you will. You will.
Great.